Look, just the facts, Larry, just the facts is how we begin, and then we'll get into the opinions of everything because people confuse opinion with fact far too often. These are just the facts, and the fact is that 5-0 feel-good start, the dominant nature in which this season begun, has completely evaporated over the last 3 weeks. Now, that might be even more opinion than fact, but if you've been watching, you know that that's also a fact. This is not the same team that we saw in the first 5 weeks of the year. It's not even close. And you can point your finger at Steve Wilks all you want and the defense underperforming. The truth is that this is the first time since Kyle's first year back in 2017 that he's been held to 17 or fewer points in 3 straight games. And the thing is, that team, the 49ers in 2017, sucked. This one doesn't. So it is a little concerning that the team that began with all the 30-plus point performances has been stuck on 17, which, unless you're playing blackjack, is not something you want to really be stuck on, Larry.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is an all-around deal. I mean, the Niners are struggling on both sides of the ball, and there's different reasons for it. And I watched the game again last night, the condensed version. Later today, I watched the all 22. I was there, so I saw a lot of the coverage down the field live. But yeah, they're. I mean, they didn't have Trent Williams, but I don't want to put this on Jalen Moore. I thought Jalen Moore, for the most part, kind of stood up and played pretty well. But the 49er offensive line, I mean, they can't run the ball. I mean, Brock Purdy was literally running for his life. He made a lot of plays yesterday. Obviously, he made the 2 crushing interceptions. The last one was the worst he's thrown thus far, in my opinion. Very Jimmy Garoppolo-esque. Brock was not good in the fourth quarter for the second week in a row. And then it was kind of what the alarming thing, too, is after he banged his head, he kind of grabbed his head, and you kind of wonder about his eggs, or if his eggs are scrambled going forward. But, we'll get to that. But Brock was bad in the fourth quarter with the turnovers. Can't have those. Those get you beat. I mean, it's just simple as that. But that was hardly like the story. I mean, the 49ers cannot run the ball. They cannot. They tried to run on this team to the edges. And when I saw in the pregame that the Bengals had 3 of their 4 starting defensive backs run sub 4.3. I mean, sub 4.3, they got a ton of speed on the back end. I'm like, okay, so they're not going to be able to really run the outside zone to the edges. Sure enough, they tried several outside zone runs, got nowhere. And then when you can't run to the edges, Damon, and you can't open holes between the tackles, you can't run the ball. Brock Purdy was their leading rusher.
Yeah, and under no circumstances should Brock Purdy be this team's leading rusher, which brings me to one of the oddest aspects of the box score as you open it up and start looking around. Well, what the hell happened? Everyone was talking about how the Niners offense just didn't do anything. Actually, that's not true at all. The most insane fact of the day is that the 49ers averaged 8.2 yards per play, which is their most in any game since 2021. Now, it's a little skewed.
It is
because they gained 69 yards. They gained 69 yards over the last 2 plays of the game. Right. And we'll get to those in a little bit because I actually thought that those last 2 plays of the game, Larry, were the most negligent plays that Kyle Shanahan has run since becoming head coach of the 49ers. He should have taken a knee. The only thing you can do is dress your team up statistically at that point, but you're not about to win a game. You're not about to gain momentum back. All you are is doing is risking injury.
Wait a second. If you take a knee, that looks bad. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care how futile it was. You keep playing the game. I do not take a knee, but I know what you're saying. I'll say this. Don't bust out the box score and talk about the yardage and all that, because that's not it. The better box score to look at would be this one, or the better, it's the first half. Because even though the game also was played in the second half, that first half box tells a way more accurate story than the second half box.
Oh, totally. But it is amazing that 8.2 yards per play, they gained more yards per play than Cincinnati did. And it felt like Cincinnati had their way all afternoon, and the 49ers were, they were the beneficiaries of a few big plays in between a whole bunch of plays that didn't do much. And I really did, Larry. I was angry at the end of the game, and I was like, I swear to God, let Brandon Ayuk tear his ACL on these 2 throwaway stupid fucking plays at the end of the game, and then tell me that you shouldn't have taken a knee.
Well, yeah, you didn't have to use you could have gone, well, that's the thing though. In an NFL game, you only have so many guys up, but I agree that you don't want to put your guys in harm's way in garbage time, but I also agree that it's a worse look to take a knee than it is to like try to air it out and throw it down the field to somebody. But I agree. Yeah. What if somebody all of a sudden, wrenched something? But yeah, you got to keep trying. To me, it looks way worse if you're on your home field, alumni weekend, Eddie D in the house, and you're taking a knee to the Bengals. It looks bad, but whatever. It
does look bad. But here's the thing: I ain't here for optics. I'm here for results. And God forbid you get a player hurt in a throwaway down. It's a throwaway down.
Yeah.
Anyways, Brock Purdy threw and ran for the most yards in his career. He also had 3 brutal turnovers. The interceptions on back-to-back passes were not glorious, as you know. But a career high, 365 passing yards. It's the most passing yards from any quarterback for the 49ers since their Super Bowl season back in 2019. He also had a career high 57 rushing yards. And for the second week in a row, you and I are left to say incredibly ridiculous stuff like this, but it's also kind of true. Brock Purdy was actually playing very well right up until he didn't. He really was. He was making anticipatory throws over the middle. He is trusting his receivers before they're even out of the break, looking at the ball. An awful lot of what you saw. Tony Romo was impressed right up until, let me tell you, what's his name? Jermaine Pratt.
Yeah.
Jermaine Pratt.
Good player.
What an interception. A tip drill to him. That was incredible. Now, did Purdy hold the ball and cook the grenade a little bit too long, when Eli Mitchell?
No, he missed the handoff. It was a running play. The linemen were downfield. He should have just threw it into the turf because it didn't matter who he hit. If he had it was a penalty. The lineman downfield. He missed the handoff, and at that point, he just should have thrown the ball into the turf. Instead, he compiled his mistake by trying to make a play on a play that was already dead. Even if he hits Mitchell perfectly and Mitchell jogs in for the touchdown, it's all coming back on the penalty with the illegal man downfield. So he made a mistake there. That was a mental mistake. So yeah, that one didn't bother me. Obviously it was a turnover in the red zone, and that's bad. But look,
they scored
the next one bothered me way worse.
They scored a touchdown there. It's a tie game, and it's a whole different ball game, you know. So,
right. But that he's trying to make a play there, but he's got to know that was a mental mistake. When you miss the handoff, that play's dead, and the ball needs to go into the turf. And that was the mental mistake. And he's thinking, make a play, make a play, make a play. And he compounded his mistake with a mistake that was exponentially worse. Yeah, that one really, really hurts. The next one, though, was the one that makes you go, uh-oh, but I thought the interception to Logan Wilson where, he was going against Jennings and he thought Wilson was going to peel off. And instead he stayed with Jennings and he threw it to him, right to him. Very Jimmy Garoppolo-esque, didn't have a count of the defenders. That to me was the worst, of the two. I thought that one was the worst mistake. But those were two bad mistakes. So he missed the handoff to Mitchell, then tries to scramble and throws the interception to Pratt in the red zone. Killer mistake, but it was a mental mistake. Then he makes the bad interception, the Mike linebacker, Logan Wilson. Purdy thought Wilson was going to pass through the window, but instead he fell off into the coverage. And, Juwan Jennings, right next, he's basically standing right next to Juwan Jennings, and he makes the interception and deep in Niner territory. One play later, they score a touchdown. Crushing awful mistakes by Purdy. He has to own them. He had a huge hand in them losing this game. Turnovers mean so much in the NFL. He's got 5 interceptions in the last 3 games. He needs to be better. He would admit it. Kyle would admit it. There's no getting around it. But at the end of the day, let me just fast forward to this. All the bitching and moaning about Brock Purdy. Okay, it probably makes some people feel better. And your solution is what? They need to run to whom? You know, I mean, he's still their best quarterback. He'll be their best quarterback when they come out of the bye. It's not like they have anybody else they can go to. He counted for 422 yards. He played pretty damn good football. He was running for his life. He made tons and tons and tons of plays, and he's clearly the best they've got. And this is just the nature of, people when he was rolling and riding high and playing MVP like ball were saying, we know intellectually that this can't continue and that he's going to have bumps in the road and bad days and interceptions and losses. And they could say it so calmly and with total confidence then. But then when you actually see it, then all of a sudden it's like, he's not the guy. Get him out of there. Oh my God. The sky is falling. And in reality, there's greater quarterbacks have had worse stretches than this. And everybody just needs to take a breath and realize that it's not a beeline to the top. And there's going to be some rough moments. And yesterday was one of those moments.
It really, really was. You need a healthy breakfast. That's the thing that I know. I want you to get to Palmetto Superfoods and try an acai bowl, Larry. The acai bowl is taking over Niner Nation, if you don't mind me saying. More people are going to Palmetto than ever before who are just dudes like you and me who don't even really know how to say acai, but they're going in, they're trying it, and with each and every spoonful, we create a new fan of the acai bowl. Yes, you can use that promo code, better than 15% off now. You can just go in there and say, I'm going to take a small acai bowl. I listen to Damon and Larry. It's buy one, get one free. So that's the deal that is going on right now at Palmetto. Get yourself something that is really delicious and just happens to be good for you along the road of being really delicious. And we thank Charles and his company for being a sponsor here on the show. They've been wonderful partners. We're getting them great exposure. And again, every day, an ugly fat guy that would never have eaten an acai bowl eats one because of us.
Nothing better to wash away an ugly 49er loss and with a little acai bowl and a little 49er wake up. So get down to one of their many locations throughout the Bay Area, and maybe we should throw the locations on the bottom here for all of you. Go check them out. Great product. You're going to love it. Don't eat it because it's good for you. Eat it because it's delicious. And you'll come back for more. And they're customizable.